which brings us to the money topic. I mean, I'll provide simple statistics for sake, but I read the LM2s and it looks like we have around 7 million in cash. We owe almost 3.5 million just to contractors and market recovery alone, it seems like. That puts us at, we got 3.5 mil in our pocket with a $5 million overhead. That it sounds like a deficit. Is part of your plan for counting those beans, counting the chickens before they hatch, and what money's going to come in? Or, I mean, what do you plan to adjust? Because the numbers they're not seeming to line up right now.
Yeah. So, like you said, effectively, we're at like 3.5 million, and with staff currently, with just our local 46 staff, it's costing us 7 million a year. That's about what it pencils out to. So for every 4 staff members at 250, 260 a piece, total cost of the local, it's $1 million per year that is costing the local for every 4. So we absolutely need to reduce staff. And right now we're running at 24, I think, plus a business manager. And Bud was running with 14. And not everybody loves Bud. And I get it. Bud did sign a contract for the limited energy against some of their will. And so nobody needs to, I'm not like saying everything Bud did was right? But he was running a tighter ship and left our local with $27 million in reserves. And right now we have basically burned through all of those. And so cutting some of the staff, cutting some of the things like the pre-apprenticeship would be one big one that I think is costing us. And I have some other thoughts on that as far as like introducing more people into the electrical trade and flooding our market with electrical trade interest. I don't think is the best decision for us to make as a local. We have 3,000 applicants a year to our apprenticeship. 3,000. We don't have a shortage of applicants. We don't take in 300 apprentices a year. We don't even take in, that would be 10%. We don't take in 10% of our applicants. So we don't need a lot more interest in the electrical trade. And so this pre-apprenticeship is being, maybe I'll just like leave that to a different subject. That feels like a pretty easy cut. The conferences like EWMC and the women's committees, or women in the trades, very important. I love these groups and their ability to get together and share ideas, feel empowered. But 25 or 35, or a couple years ago, we had 46 members going to some of the conferences. The costs are staggering. It's exponential when you start adding that many members, right? And so cutting back on some of the conferences is a big deal. You and I were looking at some of the LM2 budget and some of the donations that we were making. I think you said we donated. Well, we looked at a 5,500 donation to
that's just one
a food vendor.
Yeah, a food vendor, and I'm not sure how that interacts. I haven't got to ask that question yet, but I see 100,000 just in the donation columns alone. That's as much as the bounced check that we just had.
Yeah. Getting market recovery in control is a big one for me. Speaking of the bounce checks, I think there's a lot of places that we can reel in some of our spending, reduce staff, and as we cut some of the peripheral extra stuff that we're doing, we'll we won't need as many staff. And so, because overworking the current staff is not a good option either, right? I mean, some of the staff right now is very overworked, and I recognize that, and so, we need to get some of that in order also.
Yeah. So it sounds like efficiency is part of your plan.
Big time. Yeah. And I do not have a lot of tolerance for, I don't have tolerance for people working at home. Of course, we're going to work remotely at times as we're out on job site visits, or we're in different areas within the local and jurisdiction. But work from home is BS. And no, I want to see our representatives representing members and putting the time in.
Nice. Mark, we appreciate that.